Okay, the Moonshine Collected is a bar located in Columbus run by people of the community. It's on the corner of 11th and North 4th Avenue. I forgot. What's going on right now, once a week they have a meeting to determine sort of like the policy that it decides to uphold. So this one meeting that we attended happens to be over the issue of having a women's night to hopefully get more women inside the bar.
But the thing is, there's more to it. It goes a whole lot deeper than coming into a bar and not being pawed. That should be understood. I mean, you don't come into the bar and get pawed.
Oh, I wish I did, but anyway.
Well, that's the side. I mean, you wouldn't if you were working. It's a hassle.
No, right. If I was working, you're right.
Right. A woman shouldn't have to go that. But it goes farther than that. It goes to the point of being able to sit down without getting pawed and talk to somebody that you have something in common with. And I can't do that a lot in this bar because most of the men, or most of the people here are men. That's it. We need more women in the bar. I want to fight my own battles. I don't want anybody else fighting my battles for me.
Right.
And I know that every one of us in here, men and women alike, have a lot of preconceived notions that we have to break down. But I don't think we're going to do it when there is a majority of men constantly here.
I don't think, first of all, I mean, I tend to agree with you that there is a majority of men normally here. And I don't like that. I think there's a majority of white males here, as a matter of fact.
Right.
Okay, and I don't like that either.
Right.
And even within that group of white males, there's none of those that are really heavy minority groups. There aren't any Spanish. There's a lot of shit that we have missing from this bar.
Right.
I see this bar as really a psychodrama, as really something that's happening that's generally, I mean, people have to learn to deal with this. This is the shit that goes on all the fucking time.
Right.
And what I'm saying is that what we have to do is, instead of splitting ourselves apart, we have to say, okay, well, we're going to deal with this shit right where it sits.
All right.
We're not going to, I mean, what you're asking is for the men in this room to vote for a women's night.
Right.
I mean, you're asking us to give you a women's night. Why not have enough women here that can push that one through?
Okay, I'll tell you a couple reasons. One, because most women that have come in here have come up to me or other people that work in the bar, the women, and I felt at the same time, said, I go to those meetings, but I'm afraid to say anything.
Say
for
it.
one thing.
You're not.
I'm not, because I have a loud voice and I can shout myself.
You're afraid?
I can make myself
Of all
heard.
people I know.
I know, and I'm not afraid. But there are women that are afraid to walk in this door. I've had women say, I don't want to go in there because it's almost all men, and they do, you know, they get loud, and I don't understand what's happening, and there's no reason for me to go in there unless I want to get picked up, which I don't
And they're
want.
loud. Well, I mean...
But there is a problem that if they don't want to put up, okay, we understand that there is a hassle coming in this bar for a woman, but the woman has to go through more hassle to get it justified and rectified than I do. I mean, there's nothing I can do to make that woman come in here.
Right.
I mean, and having an all-women's night, you know, having an all-women's night would only allow, well, it would.
I think it'd get women interested in the bar and start coming to the bar interested.
I would much rather see the whole moonshine. I would much rather. I would much.
Men can come in, but women.
Right. Okay. I would much rather see the bar push to get women in here.
Right.
Okay, I would much rather see the whole bar as a collective push as hard as they can to get women in here. No, if that doesn't work, then we obviously have to go to an all-women's night with no men.
We've had a constant push to get women in here.
I haven't been here, and I don't want to see.
Every time we get a new man, we're going to try to
Okay, but if
Hold on, Hank. Hold on, Steve, hold on. Shut up. Hey. All right, I want to maybe repropose this in a different light. The bar, one of the things the consciousness of the bar, the collective is trying to do here is help change public traditions, etc., about all kinds of things. Now, I remember one of the first things we did last year, the farm workers walked in, they were having a thing, we gave them rolling rocks for their thing. We gave $100 to the tenant union. We loaned the food co-op a little money when they needed it on the spot. And we gave the apartment next door to the newspaper, and like the sexist issues are perhaps even more fundamental to all the things we're doing here in the bar and outside. And it may be some sort of a discriminatory thing, you know, to have an all-women's night. And ideally, we don't want to see this happening for ever and ever, that there has to be an all-women's night. But I think having it sort of temporarily, but yet for a substantial length of time, having an all-women's night is going to have a very big impact on all the men that come in here and find themselves stopped at the door. Whether it's right or wrong, each and every man will suddenly get a new concept of the power of women, and like eventually, I hope that, you know, that these ideas you know, will mean something. Like, it's just accepted, like it has been, and it still happens, that there's all men's things happening. And it's just accepted as a matter of life that if you want all men, you can have all men. And that's fine.
Where, here?
Well, it happens always. You're hearing it in the news, this bar or this
Well, okay, but we're
club
not,
or
we're
this-
talking here.
Well, this, that, and the other thing. We're talking here. Well, no, wait a minute.
We're talking about more than here.
No, because what I'm saying is before, okay, all right, I'm saying that before we can go out and preach to the world, we got to set our own table. Well, we're doing And, it right wait a here in minute, this and bar. what I'm saying is, okay, if you want to have something that supports women in the same way that you have something that supports farm laborers or something, then I'm saying, okay, Sundays we're generally running benefits, and other days during the week we're running benefits. I'm saying we could have a benefit once a month, once every 2 weeks for a women's organization, where they could choose, just like the tenant union does or any other band does, chooses its own bands to play and its whole trip that goes on up here. I'm saying if you want to have benefit nights for women's organizations where you'll draw a lot of women anyways, that's one thing. If you want to have a woman's night, then what we're doing is we're just, I mean, we're playing a straight game. I mean, let's...
We're trying to change the people's...
Then what's wrong with having a benefit for, I mean, in one sense...
You don't feel discriminated against for once in your life.
Because, Dan, let's hear from...
You know,
Just
like,
because of what?
there's a lot of men that would really shock them into realizing some things about women, and
Anyway, Stan, how can you say that's discriminatory to you when it's that way every time I come in this bar?
It isn't that way. It's only that way, but not by our
I don't
choice.
care how it gets to be that way.
Can't
It
give
is
up one
that
night
way.
in the bar so that, you know, so that
Oh,
women
you
can
want to
actually
give up a night? Give up any night for a benefit night. Even donate money from the bar. Give 10%.
We are
Wait a minute, I think that's a misunderstanding.
If we get a woman's night, it's
Then
just
we're
going to be
supporting-
a fucking gimme.
All right.
Something about the feasibility of just doing it. First of all, we have to consider whether the bar can afford the loss of income. I mean, we couldn't do it.
No.
First, shut up! I'm talking. Second of all, I'd like to see the feasibility of just carrying it out. If there's only going to be women here, there's men who think that this is their bar too, who customers.
No, wait a minute. See, everybody's misunderstanding it. There's not a cutoff.
Well, how
That's
often
not
is
a
this going
cutoff.
to be? Is once a week are we going to have a
We
women's
can
night?
try it once and see what happens.
It's not a
Who's
cutoff.
going to be here to keep the men who
I'll
are
say
the
it's
outside door?
I'd like to
Then,
know
okay,
what
then
we
should we
have
have
to
one
say.
night a week that's only men?
No, I think
No.
Yeah, one night a week for blacks or one night a week for Jews.
Yeah.
For the rest of this
discussions.
I'd like to
I think I'm being discriminated against because I'm Jewish.
Stanley.
I'd like to propose that on that Monday, shut up. On that Monday night that I forget the name, Mother's Pride is playing, that we have all women run the bar, and that there will be no discrimination as far as who can come into the bar, but that for that one night, and possibly not as a regular thing, but for that one night, that we have only women working the bar.
I make a counter proposal. I don't want any concessions. I think this bar is taking, that's one thing it hasn't dealt with is women and making, and what this bar is. I mean, this bar is almost totally male dominated, and I think it's time that, women get a fair chance to make something in this bar themselves. And I think that the only, one of the major ways we can get women into this bar is by doing women's night. And I think it's, a little. I mean,
Well, I'd like to have a vote on my proposal, and then if it doesn't pass,
The guy with a proposal to have a women's night. So let's just see.
there is sexism. I mean, it definitely exists, and it exists in every man's bar. If any man says that they aren't sexist, I think they're trying to fool themselves. And the reason I propose the only women's night... Okay, wait a minute, wait a minute. Just let me say one thing. Okay, the reason I propose the women's night is because, like women have been oppressed by men for so long. They really, they're afraid to deal with men. They don't, almost any reaction they've had with men has been a negative reaction where they've been, fucked over in one way or another.
I mean, seriously, go outside. There's an awful lot of other people talking around this table.
It so happens nobody was talking but you two and Roger. Roger has the floor.
Go ahead.
And one trend, I've dealt with women in many other organizations, and at first when a lot of the women split off from the free press and started working amongst themselves, it's frightening to a man, because a man, he sits back and he looks at it and he's, it's a threat, it's a threat to, to what has been determined to us as manliness, which means control, because men are, no, wait a minute, men have always controlled, and not always controlled, but I mean, in the last few hundred years, men have controlled, have always been in control. And they've been taught that that's part of your manliness, to be able to control. And when you see women splitting off and start being by themselves, you start, like wondering, if you're still a man. And I think, that once, once the women split off from the free press and started working amongst themselves, they did come back, and it was a much more, they made it clear to us that, they weren't going to work with us unless we supported them. And that's what I'm trying to bring up now, is that the women, are working with us now because we haven't supported them. And we may have,
In what ways haven't we supported them? That's what I'm asking. In what ways haven't we supported them?
Okay, we haven't stood up behind the women.
In what way?
In what way? Okay, in the sexism, dealing with the sexism in the bar, dealing with the sexism within this group itself, because when I came back, I knew that this was going to, turn into a big shabam. And I was ready for it, and I'm glad it happened.
Well, wait a minute, I want to know.
Okay, I'm telling you, I'm talking about the sexism within this group.
Okay, go on. Tell me, where is it that the men have
Stan, I'll tell you, the first place, every
reactions
time
I'm
the
getting
subject
from
is
everybody
brought up,
now,
every man
from all the
starts
men
yelling
being
that
so
I'm not
defensive
That's the
about.
first step.
I don't say that.
You haven't quit yelling since I brought up the subject, or since Roger.
I am probably a sexist. I'm not arguing about that. I am arguing about the fact that within this bar, there are, this bar is everybody's bar. It's not women's bar, it's not men's bar. I would like to know in what, it is not a man's bar. I would like to know where the men in this bar have not stood behind the women. And secondly, what I don't understand is where this call is to stand behind us. The call should be that we want to stand on our own. I find it's hard for me to follow a woman's argument if she's saying that she wants men to stand behind her, to back her up. What she really wants to do is stand on her own, and that's
what a women's night would do.
Yeah.
No. What a women's night is doing is saying that we men in this bar have voted to allow women to do this trip. And what I'm saying is that we are willing to have benefits for any kinds of groups, We are willing to have any of that kinds of stuff.
We're not talking about money.
Well,
okay, but look at
Does have a benefit for women and not
right,
even
do we
have
have enough women even involved in this bar at this time to run the bar by themselves?
Yes, we
For
do.
one night. How many women do we have that are working?
Melanie,
But I mean, if somebody,
I'm sure Jenny would do it. I'm sure these two women would do it. I'm sure Sue might work the door or
if
something.
somebody wants to
Okay,
plow a field, they can't expect me to help them.
But see, I haven't been around this
What we're
bar.
talking about
I
here
think-
is the first step. Okay, Stan, you were talking about how we should be standing on our own, and that, you know, you allowing us to have a night is, you know, isn't really what we ought to have. And so in that context, we shouldn't have it at all. Well, that's not true. The point is, when blacks first decided that they wanted to be liberated, you know, their ideas of being free were far from what the white male's ideas of being free were, because the white male had gone a lot farther in his pursuit of that freedom than the male had. The blacks had to start somewhere, and the women have to start somewhere.
But what does that have to do
Well,
with...
right now we happen to be at a point where if we're going to have a women's night, it's going to have to be that the men allow us, because right now it is mostly a male bar. See?
And what I'm saying is,
Well, wait a
that
minute, wait a minute.
I am more than willing to do anything. I am more than willing to do anything to encourage women to come to the bar, to take an active part in the bar, but to start out on what I consider a sexist attitude is, to me, like the false step. I mean, if you're going to take the step, let's take it right. Let's make...
Wait,
What if you never
let's get her understanding what she means by
Accept something that I consider to be sexist.
know what she means by what.
What do you consider to be sexist if women play on the stage and women
I said I'm willing to hire...
That's what Rogers.
That's where the argument lies. I mean, we have to try a woman's night with men allowed in the door before we can try a women's night with men not allowed in the door.
All right, well, let's ask the women right here, right now.
That's what I'm saying. Ask them what the hell they're talking about. Women now.
All right, let's not hear another word from another man. Let's hear, from here on, it's all the women's. What do the women want?
What do you mean women tonight?
Okay, here's what I have in mind. I think that the men ought to be allowed to come in because women are allowed to come in here. I mean, that's a subtle, you know, I mean, men couldn't possibly say, well, women aren't allowed. That's obvious discrimination. But they allow the women to come in, so long as the women listen to what the men have to say in their songs, and so long as, you know, there's mostly men working and like that. I would like to see men allowed, and have men listen to what Mother's Pride has to say, and have women waitresses, women working the bar, women running it. I think that is one of the first steps in being a real woman's night.
All right, how about you people here?
I agree with Jen.
Maureen,
And what have we been arguing?
but what's wrong with having
Can I say something?
What is Maureen have to say?
I just disagree. I just think it would be very nice to have only women allowed in the bar just one night.
Oh, come on.
Or one day on Sunday or something like that. But I don't think it should necessarily be connected to the women's band.
Well, I think it should be women entertainment.
$5 cover and women get.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is I think it would be nice to have Mother's Pride here on one night when men come in, and another night for just women. But I would like to see the bar opened up to women simply because I think it would be a furtherance of, some enlightenment.
I'd like to see some more women work here.
But I mean, like, if you're gonna separate yourself from male.
Didn't we just say we were going to find out what the women want to say right now?
Yeah, but let's just let.
The point is, women aren't even used to coming into bars in general.
I don't think that it's even legal just to have all women.
No, because I'll tell you, I'll be out there to pick a sign in ACLU.
The way the women's bar works, it is the women charge men $5 cover and the women get in free. That's the way a lot of bars work.
That's nothing but a fucking
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
dudes in. That's stupid. That's so stupid. Fucking gimmicks.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to do
About having a women's night before women will come in here all the time.
What's so logical about allowing the woman to come in free and charge the man $5?
Nobody said that.
Wait a minute.
Well, that isn't their idea.
Wait a minute. wait a minute. This is exactly what she just got to say.
No, she was talking about some other bar.
Oh, okay. Well, then what's wrong with allowing a man in the bar with women are in here? What's wrong with if this is supposed to be a male bar? You say this is a male bar, then women come in here too. Why not allow men coming in at the same time?
There's nothing wrong with it. I just think it'd be a good idea to just allow women just one night. It's only one night.
I can't agree with that, though. I mean, on closing it out, because then what happens when all these people who are supposedly behind you, then like someone like Truckee or Bruce walks in and says, hey, you're not going to keep me out.
Do we need Truckee or Bruce in this bar?
No, but that's what I'm saying. If there are all women here working and no men allowed in, then who's going to stop those men who say, what, this is bullshit?
I'll stop.
No, and I'm saying that any woman should be able to take care of herself in that situation. That has absolutely nothing to do with it. I mean, kick him in the nuts.
Well, if you can stop in that situation, why not on a regular...
Because then you've got 30 of them instead of one.
Because the women who are sitting here are the ones who are capable of stopping.
See,
the women that we want to come to a women's night are the ones who are not capable.
And don't like to come in here because they get hassled every time they walk in the door.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
We haven't been able to keep Bruce out when it wasn't a women's night. When he wasn't
It's no big deal. It doesn't bother me. I can handle
I've been raising my hand for a long time. This means I'm disorganized. I mean, I think let's get down to what was before about ideology, what the bar is favoring here. Just reversal of the roles of sexism. I mean, I see the problem with sexism, you know, and it seems that right now the males are dominant, they're in control, so let's put the women in control and let them be sexist for a while. Now, that doesn't seem right to me. It seems that the idea is to get people...
It's okay, because you've never been discriminated against. No, it's not.
We want to kill sexism. We want to kill sexism.
I'm Jewish and I'm gay, so that makes
But
me...
you don't even know. What I'm saying is...
But I mean, we're not the ones... I mean, I think I've been discriminated against more than a lot of women have.
You don't know what sexism is like.
You're right.
But the people that are
So teach us.
now don't need to know what sex is.
It is.
What do you call it? Aren't going to understand it.
Right. Well, then should we have a men's night in here, all men, and then maybe a black night in here, all blacks, and then maybe a Jewish night in here and an Arab night in here?
And it was just that much more separation.
In here? No, we're not talking about the discrimination in here. We're talking about discrimination on the street. That's what the women are talking about. And okay, and Jewish people are discriminated on the fucking street. And I'd like to have a Jewish night.
Well, like one of the ways that women feel better about being women is by talking to other women. And it's very hard to come into the Moonshine Bar and to feel better about being a woman because there's so many men around it. A lot of women don't trust men. They don't know how to talk to them other than that get fucked atmosphere about whether they want to get picked up or not. And I think that if we encouraged a women's night, that I think that, you know, I don't say we have to forbid anyone to come in because I don't really know where that's at either. But I think to publicize women's night and don't say anyone's invited or don't say just women's invited, but encourage women to come, I think women are going to start.
But doesn't that sound just like the
I think we've all agreed that we want to let men in as well as women, or maybe there's one proposal to let everyone in and one proposal just to let women in. And I think we should also choose the night. I don't think it has to be a Monday night because that's a hard time to get people to come in. I've been here many Monday nights and I know.
Monday night's one of the busiest weeknights.
No, it isn't.
No, Wednesday or
Well,
Thursday night.
yeah, like I like to propose a Wednesday or Thursday night as an alternative proposal to consider because I think we could make more money on a night like that.
So it's Mondays are already... Oh, make more money. Now, you were the one that said
The
that
musicians are going to have to make money if they're going to be playing. I mean,
Okay.
I think the musicians should make money.
Well, according to Stan, this band isn't good enough to play on Thursday night for what the bar needs.
According to me, they are.
It might be.
Settle that after we settle the decision whether it's going to be all women's or men are allowed.
Why don't we just vote on that right now?
Okay, well,
That's something we
I
have
don't
to
even
say.
think we can vote on that till we know if it's legal, and I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, well, it is totally
It's gonna
illegal.
fail anyway, so-
It's totally illegal to not allow men in. It is totally illegal.
Well, I smoke grass and that's illegal, but I don't care about the illegal bit. I care about
Was the camera on?
Yep.
Something like that, you don't want this bar to have...
completely different thing.
I mean, men are going to be able to come. Who all votes men will come?
All right, let's vote on the thing. proposals that we have so far come across. One, the proposal that it seems to be... Okay, Bill, do you want to say something?
I think the idea of reverse sexism is against our policy and our...
Well, that's only a matter of definition. You just say it isn't.
We all always practice say it is. Argue about it.
And I think our basic drive should be toward equality and not toward women's night or men's night or gay night or any other kind of night, and that we should help to let the females or help the females make themselves feel equal. Although I think that should be something that they could do within themselves. And I think that if that's what it needs to help you, that the bar should be more than willing to see that you receive your equality if you can.
Okay, Bill, that's a lot of bullshit. I've heard that ever since the very first time I came in this bar. People have always said, I'll help you, tell me what to do. Well, now we've got a proposal. We've got something.
Okay, well, I said we'll do it, but let's not say women's night.
But it is a woman's night.
Let's say women's night.
Okay, we're not going to decide who's right or who's wrong. It's all going to be based on a majority.
Right, why call women's night? Why just say, in the advertising, all women?
We want, because we want women here.
People has the
You
floor.
say all women, but
Shut up, Stan.
It's as good a name as any.
I think what we have to do is this. It's not per se women's night. It is women's night, but what we have to do it as a collective. I mean, I've seen some shit jump off of here in relation to women, whereas the men that are here and that works here did not say anything about it. But I've had women come to me with complaints, with hassles and so forth and so on, and I would go and talk to them. I think that what we have to do is let the people know what this fucking bar is a goddamn about. We're not male chauvinists, we're not female chauvinists, whatever, We just have to let the people know what we're about. This is not a pickup bar, this is not a pimp bar, this is not a goddamn...
It is.
It is. You're saying things. You're saying
It is that, and it's a lot of other
What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this. If we're not about it, goddamn it, let the fucking people know it.
Okay, so far we've agreed that women's night should play. Right? And we have agreed that women should be working the bar, right?
Right.
And that it should be advertised as those three things for sure. Right? Okay.
But when I got down to the river, I had no shots to die. So I jumped into the river, but the doggone river was dry. I got love. sitting by the river.